All right, we're back for another Guru's Rant. Thank you so much to all of you who've left me some very kind messages. Some of you have enjoyed my videos. I hope you like them. We're going to continue to make these. Some of them will be real rants where we talk about the bullshit in the martial arts, the politics, and all kinds of other crap. But we're also going to talk about positive things. And hopefully you'll find yourself inspired to train more. You'll find yourself more inspired to evolve yourself and to learn and study, not just martial arts, but anything that you feel passionate about. As a martial artist, you should have balance between yin and yang. So anything that's yang, then you should equally train yin. If you train equally yin, you should train equally yang. We can go into this later on, but I'll go into it a little bit today. So if you're training externally, a lot of physical exertion, exercises type stuff, then you should equally train internal soft stuff. One way to do that is, for example, if you're lifting a lot of weights, then when you're resting, you should be doing a lot of soft movements like Qigong or dry land swimming, as Bruce Lee used to call it. Or you could do very, very, very slow shadow boxing. Okay? In Silat, we call that Kembangan. Okay, when you do a Kembangan, but you move extremely slow. We have a saying in our school, slower than Tai Chi. I've had Tai Chi guys come to our class and go, man, you guys move really, really slow. Slower than us. So anyhow, the joke is when people ask me, what do you practice? What do you do? I just say it's Indonesian Tai Chi. And then we leave it at that. If they want to go no more or no further, then we can demonstrate on them. But anyhow, when you train slow, you develop a better connection between your movement and your mind and body. And actually, to go fast, you must learn to go slow. If you try to go too fast prematurely, you're going to be sloppy and your movements are going to suck, and you're not going to be able to connectively connect all the sinew and tendons necessary to generate power. This is only something that you acquire from moving slowly. But anyhow, back to what I was saying. If you train hard, also train soft. If you train soft, also train hard. And if you train intensely with a partner, let's say you have a day where you're doing a lot of combative application and you guys are really messing around and playing and going kind of intense, then take it down a notch every once in a while and go extremely slow. In fact, a wonderful exercise is to spar very, very slowly. Make full contact, but to actually make contact, but spar slowly. You get a lot of benefit from that. It teaches you to see a lot of things and to intuitively feel and sense openings. And then over time, you increase the speed. Now, I'm going to give you some advice. I've been practicing music since I was at the age of 2. And if you've ever heard me play guitar, you know sometimes I like to go very fast. But in order to develop that speed, to go 300 beats per minute or 280 beats per minute, I had to practice at 60 beats per minute. So if you think of that in terms of martial arts, or you think of a concert pianist, in order for a concert pianist to go extremely fast, they have to practice extremely slow with a metronome. And it's the same thing in martial arts. It's the same thing in Pencak Silat. If you want to go fast with your hand combinations, then you have to train your jurus extremely slow. If you want to learn how to move from kuda to kuda really fast, you have to train your kuda slowly, transitioning from one to the other. I'll give you a piece of advice I was given by my Harimau Minangkabau teacher, Mahaguru Richard Crab Dobles. When he was teaching me the kuda, some of his other students were telling me to go fast in them. But in privately, he would tell me to go slow. And he said that's how Pendekar Hanafi taught him, to move extremely slow in the kuda and take your time. In fact, traditionally, you were taught one kuda per year that you were training. So in other words, you were there for 1 year before you learned the next stance, and so on and so on and so on. So these stances link together. So for example, in this system you have approximately 28 kuda and variations of those. So imagine, it would take you 28 years to master that science, really, if you're spending 1 year at a time to learn the kuda. So the whole point with this rant, it's twofold. One is take your time when you're studying. Just like music, if you're trying to master your scales or your modes, then you should take the time to study one mode at a time and really know that mode. Just like martial arts, if you're trying to understand some boxing combinations, work on one or two combinations and slow them down and repeat them at a slow pace with a good form, good posture. You'll get success at it, and eventually you'll speed yourself up to be able to move extremely fast, very quickly, without having to think about it. And that's the whole point of martial arts. Eventually you take what is something that you have to think about, you take it into the realm where you no longer have to ever think about it. You just move appropriately every time you move, and you move intuitively correct. Rants Silat does this a lot because you're practicing your jurus all the time, you're practicing your kuda all the time, and what ends up happening is that this makes you better, and you start to develop a programming of how to move your body without having to think about it. It should become as easy to you as brushing your teeth and tying your shoes. That's a methodology I learned not only from my Silat teachers, but I learned it also from my Ninpo Taijutsu teacher and Qigong teacher, Dr. Glenn Morris. He would always say, you should make everything a bad habit. Not that you should have bad habits, but that you should trick the body and mind to think it's a bad habit. Because human beings are creatures of habit. We like habits. We tend to have a lot of bad habits. So if you trick the mind into believing that a good habit is a bad habit, you'll actually practice it more. So for example, to somebody who chain smokes all the time, if they make their mind believe that exercising is a bad habit, they'll be wanting to exercise more. So it's almost like an opposite of what it is. It's kind of like a reverse psychology. But you have to think about this way, because sometimes if you set a goal, I'm going to train 2 hours tomorrow or an hour every day, you might not get that goal to happen. But if you train 5-10 minutes every hour, by the end of the day, you've trained a good 2.5 hours. So you have to trick yourself into thinking that it's just another habit. And once these habits form, so you form good habits, tricking yourself into the fact that they're bad habits, you'll actually repeat them more and more and more and more. And we do this in Silat all the time. You do this when you're sitting down watching TV, you're practicing a kuda or you're practicing some jurus. If you're walking around, you're practicing some aspect of lanka or some aspect of kuda or jurus. Any moment that you have in time where you're just sitting around, that's a moment where you're thinking about it or you're training it. It's also a good idea to train your applications in your mind, not just physically with a partner, but you visualize the attack and you visualize the responses that you would do in the proper form. Anyhow, I'm going to leave you with this rant. I hope you got something out of it. If you like my videos, please click like and subscribe. And thank you so much, and take care. Bye-bye.